It was a dark, rainy night, and the sound of heavy rain drumming against the windows was the only noise filling the room. Max, a 25-year-old hacker, sat in front of his glowing screen, the dim light reflecting off his focused eyes. His room was cluttered with multiple monitors, wires strewn across the floor like a web. A mix of energy drink cans and fast food wrappers surrounded him, signs of sleepless nights and relentless work. But tonight wasn't just another night. This was the night he would pull off the biggest hack of his life. Max had always been fascinated by the underworld of the internet. He wasn't just some script kiddie, he was one of the best. And tonight, his target was none other than one of the richest men in the world, Viktor the Ghost Reznov, a billionaire whose legitimate business empire was merely a front for a sprawling underworld network. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking. Reznov controlled it all from the shadows, his name whispered with fear across continents. No one really knew the extent of his operations, but Max was about to change that. He was going to hack into Reznov's entire empire. Max had done his homework. For weeks he had stalked the dark web, gathering crumbs of information about Reznov's network, his contacts, his drug routes. He knew the risks, but the allure of bringing down someone like Reznov was irresistible. And the payday that would follow from selling the data? That was a bonus. Max's fingers danced across the keyboard. His custom-made software began penetrating layer after layer of Reznov's firewalls. As the night dragged on, he felt the adrenaline building. He could sense he was getting closer to the core of the operation. Suddenly, his screen flashed, and an entire list of contacts popped up. Underworld kingpins, corrupt politicians, dirty cops, all connected to Reznov's empire. Max smirked. "Gotcha," he muttered. But that wasn't enough. He wanted more. He wanted the information on the drugs, the shipments, the routes, the suppliers. And then he found it. A secret vault hidden deep within the system, labeled simply as SPECTRE. Max's heart raced. This had to be it, the central database of Reznov's drug operation. He began decrypting it, line by line. After hours of work, the vault opened, spilling its contents onto Max's screen. Everything was there: the production sites, the drug labs, the shipment schedules, even the names of the mules and dealers. It was a treasure trove of information that could bring down the entire underworld. But then something strange happened. His screen flickered, and for a moment, it went black. "What the hell?" Max muttered, leaning closer to the monitor. Suddenly, a message appeared on the screen, written in red, flickering like it was alive. "You've made a grave mistake, Max. You're not as invisible as you think." Max's heart skipped a beat. How did they know his name? He frantically scanned his system, but nothing was out of place. No one should have been able to track him. He was too good for that. But something was wrong. Max quickly began packing up his files, erasing his footprints, but it was too late. His screen flickered again, and this time, the message was different. "We're coming for you." A shiver ran down his spine. This wasn't just a scare tactic. This was real. Viktor Reznov had found him, and now Max was in serious danger. Suddenly, the power in his apartment went out. Max's heart pounded in his chest as he reached for his phone, but it was dead. No signal. No power. Nothing. Panic began to set in. He grabbed a flashlight and made his way to the window. The street below was eerily empty, and the rain continued to pour in sheets, shrouding everything in darkness. Then he saw it. A black SUV parked across the street. Its windows were tinted, and the headlights were off. It hadn't been there earlier. Max's pulse quickened. Was Reznov already here? He had to move. He grabbed his backpack, filled it with his hard drives, laptop, and anything he could carry. He bolted down the stairs and out the back door. But as soon as he stepped into the alley, a figure blocked his path. Tall, dressed in all black, with a mask covering their face. Max froze. "Going somewhere?" a deep voice asked from behind the mask. The figure stepped closer, and Max could feel the cold steel of a gun.
Before we dive deeper into the terror, take a moment to like this video if you're enjoying the chills so far. Don't forget to subscribe to Scary Rooms for more spine-tingling stories and share with your friends, if they can handle the fear.
Without thinking, Max swung his backpack, hitting the man in the face, and ran. He didn't look back. He could hear footsteps behind him, fast and determined. His mind raced, trying to think of a way out. He darted through alleys, across streets, trying to lose them, but no matter where he turned, there was always someone there, watching, following. He was being hunted. He finally made it to an abandoned warehouse near the docks, panting and drenched from the rain. He slammed the door shut behind him and locked it, leaning against it to catch his breath. The warehouse was vast, filled with shadows and rusting machinery. The sound of dripping water echoed in the darkness. Max pulled out his laptop, desperate to connect to any remaining network to get help. But something was off. His laptop, his lifeline, had been compromised. The screen flickered again, and this time a live video feed appeared. It was Viktor Reznov. Reznov was sitting in a luxurious office, a cigar in hand, looking calm and collected. His sharp, predatory eyes stared directly at Max through the screen. Reznov. You really thought you could steal from me and walk away? Max felt a chill run down his spine. He was trapped, and he knew it. Max, I've got all your files, Reznov. Your entire empire is in my hands, Reznov chuckled, a deep, sinister sound that echoed through the warehouse. Reznov, do you really think that scares me, boy? You've stumbled into a world far darker than you can imagine. Those files mean nothing. What matters is the price you'll pay for crossing me. The screen went black, and then a new message appeared. Look behind you. Max's heart stopped. He slowly turned, and in the darkness he saw them, shadows moving toward him. The men in black had found him, silent and deadly, like ghosts. Max backed away, but there was nowhere left to run. He was surrounded. One of the men stepped forward, and for the first time Max saw his face, scarred, cold, and merciless. It was Reznov's right-hand man, Dmitri. Dmitri. Reznov doesn't forgive and he doesn't forget. Max's mind raced. He had to think of something, anything. His eyes darted to his laptop. If he could just upload the files, expose everything, maybe he could survive this. He made a break for the laptop, but Dmitri was faster. In one swift move, Dmitri grabbed Max by the throat, lifting him off the ground. Dmitri. Time's up, hacker. Max struggled, gasping for air, but he couldn't break free. As his vision blurred, he saw something in Dmitri's other hand, a syringe filled with a thick, dark liquid. Max. What? Is that? Dmitri. Insurance. With a cold smile, Dmitri plunged the needle into Max's neck. Pain shot through him like fire, and the world around him began to twist and distort. The shadows grew darker, the walls seemed to close in, and strange whispers filled his ears. Max collapsed to the ground, his body convulsing. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The warehouse dissolved into a nightmare, and Max was trapped inside his own mind. Forever. The next morning, the police found Max's lifeless body in the warehouse, his face frozen in a twisted expression of terror. There were no signs of a struggle, no fingerprints, no evidence of foul play. It was as if he had simply died of fear. The files he had stolen were gone, wiped clean. And Viktor Reznov continued his empire, untouched, his legend growing even darker. And in the darkest corners of the web, a new rumor began to spread. A cautionary tale about a hacker who tried to take on the underworld and paid the ultimate price.
If you enjoyed this chilling tale and want to be the first to experience our next terrifying story, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified as soon as it drops.